Hello, welcome to One, the single session blog where we talk about all things connected to single session therapy. My name is Alicia and I'm coming to you from the traditional territories of the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe on the beautiful shores very close to Lake Ontario here in Canada. So I'm really excited to talk about today because the thing that we're going to talk about today is the why behind single session therapy. Why in the world would anybody even think about doing this? What are the benefits of it? All of those kinds of things. This is a huge question when it comes to single session therapy, especially when it comes to walk-in single session therapy, which this is the whole idea of people can kind of walk in off the street, no intake, no history, no prior assessment, and see a mental health therapist very, very quickly after they first decide to seek services. There are lots and lots of whys behind the implementation of this kind of model from a service delivery perspective. The one that kind of gets me going the most, and the reason that I just feel so passionate and so convinced that we should be spending more time, more resources, refining how we all do this, it has to do with social justice. So what we know is that many people find mental health services inaccessible due to the systemic barriers that surround them. Now, I think I mentioned at an earlier time, one of the things that really clued me in and kind of really got me riled up was after working in the public health sector for so long, I began to realize that we talk about clients very negatively. We have this language that we use, these names that we call them, these labels that we give people who don't do what we think that they should as professionals. Some of those words that I'm sure you are aware of are words like resistant, oppositional, not ready for change, difficult, challenging. All of these words, I believe, are actually a reflection of our own privilege and our own sense of expertise that I actually don't think has a place within the field of psychotherapy. I'll say more about this. This whole idea that somebody can come or can week after week after week after week represents a belief that their time, that they should take time out of their life and out of their schedule to come and see you. Now, the assumption that all people can do that, especially people who are experiencing systemic difficulties. I worked in child and family mental health for a really long time. I feel like most of the people that I saw were like single parent families that had 3 kids and were working minimum wage jobs, sometimes more than one minimum wage job, just trying to get food on the table. When their kids began to have trouble at school or anywhere else, they were told by teachers, by principals, by social workers that they should come to a clinic or come to an agency to seek out services. When they did, a lot of times the messaging was like, yeah, the expectation for your kid to get better and for the school or whoever to get off your back is that you have to somehow commit to bringing your kid into therapy between the hours of 8 and 4:30, sometimes like 10:30 in the morning, for an indefinite period of time. If you say this to a single mom working a minimum wage job with 3 kids, think of the implications for that for her or for anyone. Access to vehicles are an issue, taking time off work are issues, childcare for other children are issues. All of those things need to be sorted out, and those are barriers to accessibility. What that means then is that mom or that family just doesn't come back and the kid doesn't actually receive services. So what if, and this is where I just become so excited about single session therapy, what if there was a way to make a difference in the life of that client or that kid or that family that didn't involve this long-term, exhausting, overwhelming commitment? That's what single session therapy is. It's opening and expanding the possibility and the range of services to be more inclusive so that everyone can access services on their own terms, in their own way, and on their own time. For me, that is beyond exciting. What that does mean, though, is that we have to approach the clinical element differently. we have to look at it from a different lens, not from the lens of like what the textbook says is best or what we as experts think is best, but from the lens of what is best for this client at this time, given the circumstances that surround them at this moment. And the beauty of the model, and we'll get into this more later, is that we get to ask that question of the clients. So the responsibility doesn't just fall on us. So that's just a brief summary of one of the reasons that single session therapy is so exciting, that matters so much, and that I feel so passionate about it. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me today.